Hi, I'm Jack. I'm 32, I live in a small town in Ohio, and I work in marketing, office life, 9 to 5, the usual grind. But today, I want to tell you something different. This is the story I've never told anyone. Call it. My friend's mom was in tears. Then she whispered, "Please take me away." Started about 2 years ago, on a cold November evening, just after work. I was supposed to meet my friend Mark for a quick beer, to catch up. Mark's been my best friend since college. He's the kind of guy who's always been easygoing, charming, the kind of guy everyone likes. But lately, he'd been distant. At the bar, he showed up late, distracted, and his usual jokes felt hollow. We talked about work, life, the usual surface stuff. But I could tell something was eating at him. I finally pressed, and he looked away, a shadow crossing his face. "It's my mom, Jack," he said, voice tight. "She's not doing well. I don't really know how to handle it." That night, I didn't realize how much those words would pull me into a story far beyond anything I'd imagined. A few days later, Mark invited me over to his house. I'd met his mom a handful of times before. She was warm, funny, the kind of woman who filled a room with her laugh. But when I walked in this time, it was different. The air was thick, heavy with something unsaid. She was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring out the window. Her eyes caught mine, but they were red, swollen like she'd been crying for hours. "Jack," she said softly, almost a whisper. "Thank you for coming." Mark was pacing the kitchen, restless, avoiding her gaze. I sat down beside her, unsure of what to say. After a long pause, she took a shaky breath and whispered, "Take me anywhere. Just take me away from here." Her words hit me like a punch. I looked over at Mark. His jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Over the next few weeks, I found myself visiting more often. Mark was swamped with work, and his mom, Linda, seemed to need someone to listen, someone to hold the pieces together. The more I learned, the more the picture became clear but also darker. Linda's marriage had fallen apart years ago. Mark's dad was gone, but not by death. He'd walked out, left without a word. Linda carried that wound deeply. Now, alone and exhausted, she was unraveling quietly in the corners of their home. One night, she pulled me aside, away from Mark. We were in the kitchen, the only light coming from the dim fridge. She looked up at me, eyes full of raw fear. "I'm scared, Jack," she said. "Not of dying, not yet, but of living this way, trapped. Do you understand?" I wanted to say something comforting, but I was lost for words. That night, I stayed late. We talked for hours. About life, about regrets, about love lost and hope that felt like it was slipping through her fingers. And then, out of nowhere, she reached for my hand. I froze. "I don't want to be alone anymore," she whispered. The weight of those words settled over me. What was happening here? Was it the loneliness, the despair, or something deeper? I kept thinking about Mark, my friend, my brother. How would he feel if he knew his mom was opening her heart to me like this? I was caught between loyalty and the unexpected pull toward Linda. Then, one evening, Mark left town for a week on a business trip. That night, Linda called me. Her voice was trembling. "Jack, can you come? Please." When I arrived, the house was cold and silent. She was sitting on the porch, wrapped in that same blanket, tears streaming down her face. "I can't do this alone anymore," she said, barely above a whisper. I didn't hesitate. I sat beside her, took her hand, and promised I'd stay. But even as I made that promise, I knew this wasn't just about keeping her company. It was about something deeper, about a bond that was forming in the cracks of their broken family. I didn't realize then how far I'd be pulled into a story of love and loss, of secrets hidden behind smiles, and a desperate hope to be saved. After that night on the porch, something changed between Linda and me. It was subtle at first. Longer conversations, shared silences that weren't awkward but somehow comforting. I was no longer just Mark's friend helping out. I was a witness to a woman unraveling, fighting to hold herself together while quietly craving a connection. Mark was away for 5 days, and every evening I found myself sitting with Linda, listening to her memories, her fears, and her quiet admissions. One night, she told me about the man she once loved, the one who left, breaking her world into fragments she never quite put back together. "He wasn't a bad man," she said softly, voice cracking. "Just scared, I guess. Scared to be vulnerable. And I loved him too much to let go." I listened, and I felt something inside me break, because in her story, I saw pieces of my own scars. I was running from something too: fear of failure, fear of being forgotten, and maybe, just maybe, fear of really living. By the time Mark came back, Linda and I had built a fragile kind of trust. I wasn't sure if Mark noticed. He was too busy trying to patch his own life together. But I could feel the tension, the unspoken words hanging in the air. One afternoon, Mark caught me alone in the kitchen. "Jack, can I be honest?" he asked, voice low. "Sure," I said. He hesitated, then took a breath. "I know you've been spending a lot of time with my mom. I just want you to know, I'm grateful, but it's complicated. She's my mom, and sometimes, I don't know if I'm ready to face what she's going through." I nodded. "I get it. I'm here for both of you, no matter what." He smiled, a little bitter, a little tired. "Thanks, man." But the truth was, the lines between helping and wanting were already blurred. Linda wasn't just a friend's mom anymore. She was someone I cared about deeply, something I never expected to feel. Then came the night that changed everything. Linda called me, voice urgent, trembling. "Jack, I don't think I can keep this up. I need to get away just for a while. Would you come with me?" My heart pounded. Was this real? Was she asking me to run away from everything with her? I didn't hesitate. "Where do you want to go?" She paused. "Anywhere. Anywhere but here." We packed lightly and left after midnight, the city sleeping as we drove down empty highways. No destination, no plan, just the hope of escape. For the first time in years, Linda laughed freely. We talked about everything. Our fears, dreams, regrets. Felt like a new beginning, but also a fragile illusion. One night, by a quiet lake under a sky full of stars, Linda turned to me. "Jack, do you think people can really change? Or are we just running in circles?" I looked at her, tears shining in her eyes. "I don't know, but maybe, if we're brave enough, we can find a new path." She smiled softly, and I knew I'd never forget that moment. The way hope and sadness danced in her eyes. But the past has a way of catching up. A few days later, Mark called. His voice was strained, desperate. "Jack, you have to come home. Mom, she's not okay." We drove back, and the tension was electric. Linda was quieter now, fragile in a way that scared me. That night, I found her crying alone in the dark. "Jack, I'm scared," she whispered. "Scared of what comes next." I held her close, my own heart breaking. We were two lost souls trying to hold on, unsure if the dawn would bring healing or heartbreak. In the end, Linda faced her battles. Some lost. But she taught me what it means to love without conditions, to be vulnerable even when it terrifies you. Mark and I grew closer, our friendship forged stronger through pain and understanding. And me, I learned that sometimes the people we least expect become the ones who change us forever. This story is not just about love or loss. It's about courage, the courage to face the darkest parts of ourselves and still reach out for connection. Life isn't perfect. It's messy, painful, and unpredictable. But in that chaos, there's beauty. In the tears, in the whispered pleas, in the promise to take someone anywhere just to help them find peace. If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this: never underestimate the power of showing up. Sometimes just being there for someone can change the course of their entire life, and yours too. Because love isn't always grand gestures or happy endings. Sometimes, it's the quiet moments in between, the shared fears, the whispered hopes, the willingness to take a chance on someone when they need it most. This is my story, my secret, and maybe, if you listen closely, it will touch your heart the way it touched mine.